Good evening, and welcome to the No Commercial Potential Show here on Cosmos Astrum Radio. I'm your host, Brad Wallace, and if you're tuning in for the first time, thanks for joining us. I'm happy to say that you found a very positive space here, because on this show we explore the lives of people from around the world, from all walks of life, and from throughout history, who had every reason to believe that their lives would not amount to much, but who are today household, even iconic names. In our first episode, we explored the life and works of the late great Frank Zappa, from whom the name of the show and of my fake band is derived. Early in his career, Zappa sent off samples of his work to various record companies, and one of them wrote back, returning his recordings, saying that while they were frankly in awe of his incredible musical ability and creativity, they sadly felt that his work had no commercial potential whatsoever. The No Commercial Potential banner, however, isn't just a clever band name or an event in one musician's life. It's a metaphor for everyone who took their best shot at greatness, and even just their best shot at goodness within their own lives, and were told, you can't do that, by people purportedly in the know about what can and cannot be done. So this show is about the people who faced down the naysayers, some of whom residing even in their own hearts, and if they didn't always realize their dreams during their lifetimes, left something lasting, beautiful, and important behind them for the rest of us.
Good morning!
Morning! Good morning!
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Alrighty then! Fine! The gloves are off, pal! Come on, let me see a little rat. Smite me! Oh, mighty smiter! Your Honor, I object!
And why is that, Mr. Reed?
Because it's devastating to my case!
Overruled.
Good call!
Hello, I am Andy, and I would like to thank you for coming to my movie.
Mark! Yeah! Ing! Yeah! Bird! Yeah! 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 Mockingbird! Because life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. How do I know this? I don't. But I'm making sound, and that's the important thing. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here for you!
Don't do that, Jesus Christ! You're gonna get me killed! Out of here!
Oh, Billy.
But Jim, you got really dressed up for the occasion. You look good.
No, I didn't.
Was that an
get dressed
accident?
up. I didn't get dressed up.
Who did?
There is no me.
There's no you.
No.
We're not here. This is a dream?
It's just things happening. And there are clusters of tetrahedrons moving around together.
Okay.
Somebody stop me! Alrighty then.
Good evening, and welcome to part 2 of Jim Carrey in his own words. This is the No Commercial Potential Show on Cosmos Astrum Radio. I'm your host, Brad Wallace. Last day, we learned quite a bit about the rather unorthodox early years of Jim Carrey. The cliche rags to riches doesn't even begin to cover it. We also heard about how an angry crowd at the Comedy Store once threw chairs at him, so dissatisfied they were with his act. Till he crawled on his belly to the back of the room to find a piano, overpowering the comic on stage after him, banging away chords and singing a made-up song about how he hated the audience and they gave him cancer. But here's a tidbit. Like so many above a certain age, Jim grew up watching The Carol Burnett Show. Unlike the vast majority of viewers, however, at the tender age of 10, Jim wrote a little letter to Carol.
Carol has known this story for a long time, that I tried to get on her show when I was 10 years old.
Yeah, you sent a resume in,
right?
I
sent a little resume in, and a list of the impressions I did, which were like 120 people at that time.
Wait, you had an actual itemized list of 120
All
impressions?
the people that I did, yeah. And I wanted on the show, I said, like one of the regulars, like Tim Conway or Harvey Korman. And they sent me, I got a letter back from Hollywood. It was like the greatest day of my life.
That's incredible.
Everything went into slow motion. like that, and it was a letter, like a kind of a form letter or whatever, from an assistant and stuff with a Carol Burnett signature stamped on it. But it said that they generally hire their talent through agencies and things like that. But the best of luck, and it sounds like you're doing great, and we encourage you to keep going and all that stuff. And then oddly enough, scribbled on it, "Kill yourself." No,
that was nice of them. In blood, somehow.
No, but I didn't care that it was a rejection. I just got a letter from Hollywood.
Yeah.
Television City, man.
Your first connection.
I was gone. I was so happy.
That is amazing.
That was the first connection, exactly.
I mean, the unmitigated gumption. No, gumption is too small a word. The incredible chutzpah. I don't think even chutzpah covers it. There's nothing else that covers it except vaulting ambition. To borrow from Shakespeare, the vaulting ambition of a 10-year-old Jim Carrey writing to the Carol Burnett Show saying, "Make me the next Harvey Korman. Make me the next Tim Conway." And the strength of character even then, to feel great about having received even a rejection letter from the show at 10 years old, because it came from Hollywood. We're not dealing with any ordinary human being here. Now let's fast forward to where we left off last day. Jim being interviewed about an enormous string of successes by Charlie Rose.
After Truman, Andy Kaufman.
Yes.
Did you know Andy?
I never knew Andy, no. I knew of him. I followed him for sure.
Yeah. What was it about that story that made it so compelling for you to want to be, not only did you want to play the role, but you became the role during the, as oft-told story of you?
I was fascinated, first of all, at the fact that he could stand in the face of rejection and stick to his guns and stick to his art and his expression, and to hell with the people who didn't want to think, or just were just not into it. He was just going to do what he did. And I'm fascinated by what creates characters. What defines people? What creates them? What puts them together? Everybody's Frankenstein, and they just like as life goes on, you either lose pieces of yourself, gain other pieces, and it just that's the fascinating thing about acting. It's like somebody like Andy Kaufman. What is it? And I stood by his gravesite, with his sister, and she said one thing to me that cleared it all up, and that was that Andy was never part of the club. So he created his own club that no one else could be a part of.
Hi, Michael. Hi, Andy. Thanks for joining us. Do you wanna sing a song together? Sure. Is it a sweet song? Yeah, it's real sweet. Okay.
In this friendly world, with each day so full of joy, why should any heart be lonely? My turn in this friendly world, with each night so full of dreams. Why should any heart be afraid? The world is such a wonderful place to wander through when you've got someone you love to wander along with you. Okay, now take every second word with the sky so full of stars and the river so full of song. Every heart should be so thankful. It's a friendly world. Don't you think so, Michael? Yep.
Oh, yeah? What's so friendly about it? This is Tony Clifton. I demand a part in this song. I'm just as big a part of the movie as these guys are. And I will not sit back while some sawed-off Colonel Kurtz wannabe has his day in the sun. I think he's enough boy. I think Michael here should sit this one out. At least the next verse or so.
Is that okay, Michael?
Okay.
I don't think you have a choice.
Okay.
The world is such a wonderful place. To wander through. When you've got someone you love to wander along with you. Okay, you do
The sky so full of stars.
And the river so full of song.
Welcome back, Andy. Every heart should be so thankful.
Thankful for this friendly, friendly world. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you all for this friendly, friendly world.
Thanks for nothing. Okay, where's the girls? They on the chopper? You guys got a chopper, right?
And that was This Friendly World by R.E.M. and Jim Carrey in the guise of Andy Kaufman and Tony Clifton from the motion picture soundtrack to Milos Forman's Man in the Moon. We're going to break now from the usual meter of the show and play another song on this same theme for you. This is one called Living on the Moon by a good friend of mine, and hopefully he'll become one of yours, a brilliant independent recording artist named Ron, but you might know him better as Start Rocks. This is the No Commercial Potential show on Cosmos Astrum Radio. I'm Brad Wallace, and you're about to hear Living on the Moon by Start Rocks. And that was Living on the Moon by Start Rocks. Quite a banger by someone who's had some incredible experiences in life and knows how to turn them into beautiful things. If you don't know Start Rocks, start rockin' soon. This is the No Commercial Potential Show on Cosmos Astrum Radio, and you're listening to Brad Wallace. Now back to our sojourn into Jim Carrey, in his own words.
In the film, Jim plays a devious divorce lawyer who becomes Honest Abe after his son wishes he could tell the truth for just one day.
It was actually painful. I would go home, I'd be so exhausted, I'd wonder why, but what it was is if you're suppressing something all day, you're I can't say what I want to say, you know, and it comes out anyway. It's like true Tourette syndrome.
You know why I pulled you over?
Depends on how long you were following me. It gave me close to an aneurysm.
Will sitting too close to the TV set make me go blind?
Not in a million years.
If I keep making this face, will it get stuck that way?
In fact, some people make a good living that way.
Can I call you Jim?
I'd really rather you called me Sir.
Sir.
Sir Jim.
Sir Carrey. Sir Jim.
No, that's fine.
Playing God, is it all downhill now? I mean, if you reach the top?
Well, you know, so the fortunate thing was I didn't have to play God. I was the guy with God's power that completely misused it. So, you know, I didn't have to wrap my head around that one. But, you know, I don't know. No, it's over.
It's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's done.
So this is your last interview?
This is it. I'm retiring after this.
I'm so flattered.
Yeah, well.
And there's also rules to be God. I understand. There's 2 rules you cannot break.
Uh-huh.
One was...
I don't remember. That was a long time ago I did this movie.
Not to tell anyone. Not to tell anyone.
Yeah, well, you just, yeah, right, exactly.
You can't tell anyone.
No,
You couldn't tell me because you forgot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Can't tell anyone, and you can't affect free will. Right.
Then what's the point of being God if you can't do that?
Exactly. This is the question the movie begs.
Growing up, I always thought God was George Burns.
Yes.
It's Morgan Freeman.
Well, you just buy all the media stuff, don't you?
I do.
Wow.
I'm just surprised to find out it'd be Morgan
I bet you buy
Freeman.
Christmas cards too, don't you?
Just a few. I have so many left over. I send the
Not
same
me.
ones. Your character, though, he endowns these powers, but he doesn't make the world better. He just concentrates on himself. He's selfish about it.
Yes, yes. Well, that's the thing. Is I think it, you know, I used to do this thing in my stand-up act about you know, if I were Jesus, the Bible would be a different book. You know, it'd be a big coffee table thing with lots of pictures, but it'd also, you know, be me up on the cross cursing people out and saying, you know, when my father hears about this, you'll be in trouble. That kind of thing.
Was there anything in this film that you decided not to do or to stay away from?
You know, there was, of course, you know, there's you don't want to get too rude, you know, in the God realm, but I mean, it was pretty open. I mean, it's a tough subject. The idea of like getting mad at God in something, you know, is kind of odd, but we all do it, you know. So it's kind of territory that I thought was kind of a, you know, it's universal. Everybody gets to that point where they go, why, you know.
Returning to the musical portion of our program, allow me to introduce you to Regina Spektor's song, Laughing With. A beautiful piece about how no one laughs at God in a hospital. No one laughs at God in a war. No one's laughing at God when they're starving or freezing or so very poor. The beautiful thing about a film like Bruce Almighty is that there's no attempt to disrespect anyone's faith, be irreverent or unkind. As Jim himself points out, while the film raises important theological and moral questions, such as the universal cry, why me? Or the ever-present potential of any living human being to abuse the gifts they've been given, even if they're the supernatural powers of God's self. There isn't even the least implication of disrespect for the eternal. And as the old saying goes, there are no atheists in foxholes. I give you Laughing With by Regina Spektor. As Regina herself puts it, but God could be funny at a cocktail party while listening to a good God-themed joke. Amen.
No one laughs at God in a hospital. No one laughs at God in a war. No one's laughing at God when they're starving or freezing or so very poor. laughs at God when a doctor calls after some routine tests. No one's laughing at God when it's gotten real late and their kid's not back from that party yet. No one laughs at God when their airplane starts to uncontrollably shake. No one's laughing at God when they see the one they love hand in hand with someone else and they hope that they're mistaken. No one laughs at God when the cops knock on their door and they say, "Well, guys, some bad news, sir." No one's laughing at God when there's a famine, fire, or flood. But God could be funny at a cocktail party while listening to a good God-themed joke. Or when the crazy say he hates us and they get so red in the head you think they're about to choke. God could be funny when told to give you money if you just pray the right way. And when presented like a genie with his magic like Houdini, or grants wishes like Jiminy Cricket and Santa Claus, God could be so hilarious, ha ha. Laughs at God in a hospital. No one laughs at God in a war. No one's laughing at God when they've lost all they got and they don't know what for. No one laughs at God on a day they realize that the last sight they'll ever see is a pair of hateful eyes. No one's laughing at God when they're saying their goodbyes. But God could be funny at a cocktail party while listening to a good God-themed joke. Or when the crazy say he hates us and they get so red in the head you think they're about to choke. God could be funny when told to give you money if you just pray the right way. And when presented like a genie who does magic like Houdini, or grants wishes like Jiminy Cricket and Santa Claus, God could be so hilarious. But no one laughs at God in a hospital. No one laughs at God in a war. No one laughs at God in a hospital. No one laughs at God in a war. No one laughing at God in a hospital. No one's laughing at God in a war. No one's laughing at God when they're starving or freezing or so very poor. No one's laughing at God. No one's laughing at God. No one's laughing at God. We're all laughing with God.
And that was Laughing With by the great Regina Spektor. I'm Brad Wallace. You're listening to the No Commercial Potential Show on Cosmos Astrum Radio, and this is Jim Carrey in his own words. On the theme of the spiritual, the cosmic, the self-transcendent, it's really no secret that Jim has moved on from his days as Ace Ventura, has even moved well beyond the satirical social criticism inherent in The Truman Show, into an entirely new realm, possibly a different universe. However, it's hard to deny that there is a gravitas to what Jim is telling us about his view of the world. He seems to be saying two things at once. Sometimes he's a believer in the ability of human beings to manifest reality out of intention. At other times, he's telling us quite convincingly that nothing really matters. There's a kind of nihilism inherent in his perspective. There is no Jim Carrey, he will tell us. Nothing's really happening. Well, things are happening, but maybe they don't matter that much. There are clusters of tetrahedrons kind of bundled together and appearing in certain ways, and we're interpreting those clusters of tetrahedrons in certain ways, many of which aren't helpful. But Jim has a lot more interesting things to say about all of that than I do.
It's very strange because I've been sharing things that, lately about what I believe and stuff that are really kind of, maybe a few years ago might have been like, okay, Jim, maybe we'll join you on that planet someday. But
yeah,
we'll send a probe and check out the atmosphere, see if it's livable. But yeah, there's a lot of methane here. Cow farts. But, I'm finding that people are all kind of in for the most part, accepting of another kind of way of looking at things, or letting go of character. You know, there's this kind of weird thing, like I went on a Broadway stage with Michael Moore last week, and I did a lot of comedy and I did political stuff, and that was all great. And then I just kind of slowed down and started talking about the river of tears that we all have to face, and eventually, and that we're all avoiding, and how at the other side there's, you know, that your body can survive it, but you can't, and and you're better off without a you or an I. And I got into that pretty heavily, and they were looking at me like, this isn't what he's supposed to say.
Right.
You know, it was more like, you're supposed to say, you know, we're important, and you're supposed to say it's all going to be all right, and you're supposed to say that, you know, whatever you dream can come true, and you're supposed to say all those things. I do believe in manifestation, power of that kind of stuff, but I don't believe that any of it matters. You know, this mattering is to me a human construct, born out of a need, the same need as you have to have, you know, deities and things like that. I mean, I believe in an energy of God, an energy of, you know, everything is divine. You know, there's just not, there's no thing that isn't divine. Everything is divine, and I'm that. I'm not the body. I'm you guys, and I'm this thing, and I'm this thing, and I'm the cameras, and it doesn't matter to me what's happening on them. Sometimes I still have the groove cut in me that, you know, wants my hair to look nice.
Right.
It's an ancient thing. Yeah. You know, there's still ego there, but I don't. I'm finding that ultimately the freedom from it is something people are kind of hungry for in a way. Right. They're like, I don't want to be me either.
Right.
You know, and I go, well, great, because you never have been.
Right. Has this always been the case? Like, deep down, is that been something that you've always thought of, or is that a shift?
The knowledge has been evolving, you know, and I had to, I believe that I had to become a famous, you know, idea.
Yeah.
And get all the stuff that people dream about, and accomplish a bunch of things that, you know, that look like success, in order to give up my attachment to those things. It's been a part of the evolution of ego, is to spend your first half of your life acquiring and adding, thinking you can add to yourself, and it looks great. I mean, it looks great when you got a cool car and you got nice clothes, and you know, and you've done something that people admire, you know, but it can never fulfill you. You can never be happy. You know what I mean? It's not where happiness comes from. And you know, I dealt with depression, you know, a few years ago, and people still think, well, he's going through. You can tell he's depressed, and it's not. I have no depression in my life whatsoever. Literally none. I have sadness and joy and elation and satisfaction and gratitude beyond belief, but all of it is weather, and it just spins around the planet. You know, it's not. It doesn't sit on me long enough to kill me.
Do you have a happy place? Besides here.
There's just everywhere.
Just with us,
there's just everything. The happy place is realizing that you're everything, you know, and that there's no real you involved in the first place. You know, it's a weird little semantic jump that you make, where it sounds like, well, that's totally fucking threatening, man. I can't not be me. I've built this construct.
Yeah.
You know, from the time I was given a name, and then I'm a fucking Celt. My mother's, you know, great-grandmother was fucking raped by a Viking, and that's what makes me strong, you know, or whatever it is. And it's just ideas. Right. They're just ideas. You know, the only thing that separates you from an African American or an African Canadian is an idea. You know, and the weather. Right. You know, and the adaptation to the climate, and whatever it is, I don't believe in any of it, and so the feeling of wholeness is a different feeling than meanness. You know?
The feeling of wholeness is a very different feeling than the feeling of meanness. Me-ness, not meanness. At this point, I just want to give a little shout out to my fellow Canadians and wish them the happiest of Thanksgiving weekends, this being the Thanksgiving Monday. It can be too easy to forget all the things for which we have to be thankful. It can be too easy to dwell instead on all those things that we would change about our world, about our corner of it, about our lives. And so, let's take more than this one day a year to express our gratitude for all that we are, all that we have, all those wonderful people who we've had the crazy opportunities to come to know, the love of family, and the warmth of a friend. These may be dark times. They may be darker than ever. But even in the Auschwitz death camp, the prisoners there found spirit enough to put on Christmas pageants, for crying out loud. Sometimes hope, gratitude, and thanksgiving are found among the ashes. As dark as our times may seem, there's always something for which we can be grateful. And I, for one, and I think I can speak for Cosmos Astrum Radio right now, am very grateful to every one of you out there who may be listening right now. I don't know the numbers. I don't think anybody here does. But I'm very grateful for each and every one of you who have loaned me your ears tonight to hear the No Commercial Potential show on Cosmos Astrum Radio. It's a special thing to be able to reach you. It's a special thing to be heard by you and to have the opportunity to be heard. So thank you. And I want to give thanks for my family of origin, the family of my home, the family that I have made among many good friends, old and new, and for the fact that I am still here. A bit of metaphysics inspired by Jim Carrey. There's a lot more to hear from him on that. But for right now, I want to play a song that's inspired by the kind of free thinking, the kind of lateral thinking that gives rise to what may seem like a contradiction in terms in Jim Carrey's thinking. I mean, at once he believes in manifestation, the idea that we can participate in the creation of our reality. If you listen to The Secret, some of the more religious people who believe in that perspective say that we are co-creators of the universe with God. Jim believes in manifestation, so that intention matters. Intention shapes reality, and there is some strain of thought within quantum mechanics that says that thought affects reality. And more than that, we know from the science of neuroplasticity that thought actually affects the construction of the human brain. We can change the shape of our very brain through thought. How we think affects neural pathway connection. We can undo unhealthy connections and create healthy ones. And the reverse is also true. So Jim believes in all of that, but at the same time seems to believe that mattering matters too much. Sometimes we just need to accept that there are these clusters of tetrahedrons bouncing off each other, manifesting in certain ways to our limited perspectives, and we interpret them perhaps accurately, perhaps inaccurately, perhaps healthily, perhaps unhealthily. So I have a little song for you that covers all that. Before I play it, however, a cute little story. Several years ago, Michael Palin of Monty Python gave a performance that was reviewed in the media and described as perfectly Carrey-esque. You can't get much higher praise if you're Jim Carrey than that. So, with that introduction, I give you the Galaxy Song from Monty Python's Meaning of Life. Just remember that you're standing on a planet that's revolving and evolving at 900 miles an hour. How can we ever forget that? I know I do. Take it away, Eric.
Whenever life gets you down, Mrs. Brown, and things seem hard or tough, and people are stupid, obnoxious or daft, and you feel that you've had quite enough, just remember that you're standing on a planet that's evolving and revolving at 900 miles an hour, that's orbiting at 19 miles a second, so it's reckoned, a sun that is the source of all our power. The sun and you and me and all the stars that we can see are moving at 1,000,000 miles a day in an outer spiral arm at 40,000 miles an hour of the galaxy we call the Milky Way. Our galaxy itself contains 100 billion stars. It's 100,000 light years side to side. It bulges in the middle, 16,000 light years thick, but out by us it's just 3,000 light years wide. We're 30,000 light years from galactic central point. We go round every 200 million years. And our galaxy is only one of millions of billions in this amazing and expanding universe. Keeps on expanding and expanding in all of the directions it can whiz, as fast as it can go, at the speed of light, you know, 12 million miles a minute, and that's the fastest speed there is. So remember when you're feeling very small and insecure, how amazingly unlikely is your birth, and pray that there's intelligent life somewhere up in space, 'cause there's bugger all down here on Earth.
Pardon me. Let's pray that there's intelligent life somewhere up in space, because there's bugger all down here on Earth. Sometimes I would say amen, but not today. Today is about gratitude and being awake to the possibilities all around us. As is the subject of tonight's show, the bafflingly simple, the bafflingly moronic, the bafflingly brilliant Jim Carrey. And so I'm going to fulfill a promise that I made last day, which is to include at least one song by an independent recording artist every show. And I did that tonight with Living on the Moon by my good friend Ron, also known as Start Rocks, earlier tonight. But I'm going to play one more. And as is my prerogative as host of the show, it's going to be one of mine. This is a song called One More Inconsequential Song. It's from an album of mine called Oblivion Tango that came out in 2019. The spirit of this song at the time was very much about, I guess, my acceptance that at my age and at my stage as an independent recording artist, the odds of my becoming another Jimmy Page or another David Gilmour or another Roger Waters or what have you were relatively slim, to say the least, but that it didn't matter. That in the end, for me, making music is about making music. It's about putting it out there. It's about maybe reaching somebody on the same emotional or intellectual plane as I happen to have been when I wrote that piece, whatever it is. But also just simply the irrevocable act of putting it out there. No sound ever dies. I don't know if you know that. It's a reality in physics. It's why we can hear sounds emanating from the planets and other celestial bodies. So every time we sing in the shower, every time we pass wind, every time we have a fight with our significant other, every time we utter a word of kindness to someone else, every time we sneeze, every time we blow out a candle on a birthday cake, it goes on forever. There's nothing in the cosmos to stop it from projecting ever outward and onward into the universe. We are, in that sense, creating sounds that are eternal, so it matters that way. However, for the here and now, I came to a point of acceptance that whatever I created would just be one more inconsequential song for the immediate future. But having learned a bit more about Jim Carrey and his particular ethos, I can see that there is something helpful in seeing the world that way. Perhaps we can manifest destiny. Perhaps we are co-creators of the universe, or at least of our universes, our particular corners of them in any event. But perhaps all the stuff that keeps happening around us is more a matter of interpretation. Perhaps we are seeing clusters of tetrahedrons bouncing off each other and appearing to us in certain ways, filtered through our values, filtered through our expectations, some of which are helpful, some of which are not. And perhaps every song is just one more inconsequential song. And here's one more right now. One more inconsequential song by No Commercial Potential, also known as yours truly.
This is just another song, only a few are gonna hear. A few more pithy rhyming words you won't inclined to share. You might crack a clever inside joke, the risk of sticking in your throat, but even if it does, no one's really gonna care. Just an ordinary formulaic bit of a cliche. The words don't even rhyme and ain't got so much to say. Won't make nobody fall in love or turn your mind to things above. Won't haunt you in your dreams or make a playlist of your dullest days. This is just one more inconsequential song, not particularly memorable, maybe just a tad too long. One more inconsequential ditty. It ain't even very pretty, but maybe you wanna sing along. I didn't think so. Just another essentially non-essential song. It's not pulling for the left or right, but definitely wrong. The timing's off, the grammar sucks. Is it finished yet? Who gives a darn? Had a clean shot at an F-bomb, but couldn't even find the nerve. Thank you very kindly, yeah, I knew that didn't rhyme. This is just one more inconsequential song, not particularly memorable and probably just a tad too long. One more inconsequential ditty. It ain't even very pretty, but maybe you wanna sing along. Yeah, alright.
And that was just one more inconsequential song by just one more inconsequential independent recording artist known as No Commercial Potential, also known as me. And of course, nothing is really inconsequential. That's not the message here. The message is that if we're looking to change the world in the here and now through simply recording and releasing a song, odds of that happening are virtually nil. That's just not the way the world works. And we shouldn't do things for that reason. We shouldn't do things for fame. We shouldn't do them for fortune. We shouldn't do them for recognition.
or even immediate ego gratification. We should do them because our natural inborn gifts cry out for us to express them. That's why we should really do anything. We shouldn't do it because markets call for them. We shouldn't do it because others will pay for them. We shouldn't do it because we're afraid that if we don't do it, we won't be able to pay our rent. I just can't escape the conclusion that that's not the purpose of human life. We should do it because we have to, inside, because our spirits cry out for us to do it. And that's very much consistent with the philosophy of the subject of tonight's show. And I'm going to go out tonight with a lengthier than usual clip, which is a convocation address by Jim Carrey at a graduating ceremony for a university in the U.S. It is, bar none, one of the most brilliant, one of the most lateral, I would say one of the most inspirational speeches perhaps ever given. Once again, Jim Carrey has shown not only his diversity of character, his depth, but also his ability to inspire, perhaps in a way none of us expected. So I hope you'll listen to every word of this address, because it matters. After which we'll have a little more conversation and a parting song, and we'll take our leave. In my case, I'm going to be taking leave for a few weeks at least, as I take care of some other things in life, but I'm looking forward to coming back to this important thing in life, spending time with all of you, and getting to know some people who face down the naysayers, some of which residing in their own hearts, and came out the other side as household names, leaving something lasting, important, and beautiful behind them. Here on the No Commercial Potential Show. So, listen in, please, to every word of what follows. As I say, it truly matters.
What are you sitting down for? I was going to milk that for a while. You guys can stretch that out in post, right? You can make that longer in the edit. Thank you, Bevin. Thank you all. Jai Guru Dev. Faculty, parents, friends, dignified guests, graduating class of 2014. And all the dead baseball players coming out of the corn to be with us today. After the harvest, there's no place for them to hide. Fields are empty. There's no cover there. I'm here to plant a seed today, a seed that will inspire you to move forward in life with enthusiastic hearts and a clear sense of wholeness. The question is, will that seed have a chance to take root, or will I be sued by Monsanto and forced to use their seed? Which may not be totally Ayurvedic. Excuse me if I seem a little bit low energy today, whatever this is. I slept with my head to the north last night. Oh man! Oh man! You know how that is, right, kids? Yeah. Woke up right in the middle of Pitta, couldn't get back to sleep till Vata rolled around. Crazy. Oh. Woo. But I didn't freak out, you know. I used that time to eat a large meal. Connect with someone special on Tinder. Because life doesn't happen to you, It happens for you. How do I know this? I don't, but I'm making sound, and that's the important thing. That's what I'm here to do. Sometimes I think that's the only thing that's important, really, you know? It's just letting each other know we're here. You know? Reminding each other that we're part of a larger self. I used to think Jim Carrey is all that I was. Just a flickering light, a dancing shadow, the great nothing masquerading as something you can name. Seeking shelter in caves and foxholes dug out hastily, an archer searching for his target in the mirror, wounded only by my own arrows, begging to be enslaved, pleading for my chains, blinded by longing and tripping over paradise. You didn't think I could be serious, did you? I don't think you understand who you're dealing with. I have no limits. I cannot be contained because I'm the container. You can't contain the container, man. You can't contain the container. I used to believe that who I was ended at the edge of my skin, that I had been given this little vehicle called a body from which to experience creation. And though I couldn't have asked for a sportier model, it was, after all, a loaner and would have to be returned. Then I learned that everything outside the vehicle was part of me too. And now I drive a convertible. Yeah, man. Top down, wind in my hair. Woo! I am elated and truly excited to be present and fully connected to you at this important moment in your journey. I hope you're ready to open the roof and take it all in. Okay, 4 more years then. They're obviously not ready. Just need some more cooking. Now, I want to thank the trustees, the administrators, the faculty of MUM for creating an institution worthy of Maharishi's ideals of education, a place that teaches knowledge and experience, the knowledge and experience necessary to be productive in life, as well as enabling the students through transcendental meditation and ancient Vedic knowledge to slack off twice a day for an hour and a half. Don't think you're fooling me. But I guess it has some benefits. It does allow you to separate who you truly are and what's real from the stories that run through your head. You have given them the ability to walk behind the mind's elaborate set decoration and to see that there's a huge difference between a dog that is going to eat you in your mind and an actual dog that is going to eat you. That may sound like no big deal, but many never learn that distinction. And they spend a great deal of their lives living in fight or flight response. I'd like to acknowledge all of you wonderful parents. Way to go. What a fantastic job you've done. For your tireless dedication, your love, your support, most of all, for the attention that you paid to your children. I have a saying, beware the unloved, because they will eventually hurt themselves or me. But when I look at this group here, you know, I feel really safe. I do. I'm just going to say it. My room is not locked. My room is not locked. No doubt some of you will turn out to be crooks. But white-collar stuff, you know, Wall Street, that type of thing, you know. crimes committed by people with self-esteem. Stuff parents can still be proud of in a weird way. And to the graduating class of 2017, -3. You didn't let me finish. Congratulations. Yes, give yourself a round of applause, please. Please. You are the vanguard of knowledge and consciousness, a new wave in a vast ocean of possibilities. On the other side of that door, there's a world starving for new ideas, new leadership. I've been out there for 30 years. She's a wildcat. Oh, she'll rub up against your leg and purr until you pick her up and start petting her, and then out of nowhere, she'll swat you in the face. It can be rough out there, but that's okay, because there's soft serve ice cream with sprinkles. I guess that's what I'm really trying to say here today. Sometimes it's okay to eat your feelings. Now, fear is going to be a player in your life, but you get to decide how much. You can spend your whole life imagining ghosts, worrying about the pathway to the future, but all there will ever be is what's happening here, and the decisions we make in this moment, which are based in either love or fear. So many of us choose our path out of fear disguised as practicality. What we really want seems impossibly out of reach and ridiculous to expect, so we never dare to ask the universe for it. I'm saying I'm the proof that you can ask the universe for it. Please. And if it doesn't happen for you right away, it's only because the universe is so busy fulfilling my order. Party size! My father could have been a great comedian, but he didn't believe that that was possible for him. And so he made a conservative choice. Instead, he got a safe job as an accountant. And when I was 12 years old, he was let go from that safe job. And our family had to do whatever we could to survive. I learned many great lessons from my father, not the least of which was that you can fail at what you don't want. So you might as well take a chance on doing what you love. It's not the only thing he taught me, though. You know, I watched the effect of my father's love and humor and how it altered the world around me. And I thought, that's something to do. That's something worth my time. It wasn't long before I started acting up. You know, people would come over to the house and they'd be greeted by a 7-year-old throwing himself down a large flight of stairs. They would say, "What happened?" And I would say, "I don't know. Let's check the replay." I'd go back to the top of the stairs and come back down in slow motion. It was a very strange household. My father used to brag that I wasn't a ham, I was the whole pig. And he treated my talent as if it was his second chance. When I was about 28, after a decade as a professional comedian, I realized one night in LA that the purpose of my life had always been to free people from concern, just like my dad. And when I realized this, I dubbed my new devotion the Church of Freedom from Concern. The Church of FFC. And I dedicated myself to that ministry. What's yours? How will you serve the world? What do they need that your talent can provide? That's all you have to figure out. As someone who's done what you're about to go and do, I can tell you from experience, the effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. Because everything you gain in life will rot and fall apart, and all that will be left of you is what was in your heart. My choosing to free people from concern got me to the top of a mountain. Look where I am. Look what I get to do. Everywhere I go. I'm going to get emotional because when I tap into this, it really is extraordinary to me. I did something that made people present their best selves to me wherever I go. I am at the top of the mountain, and I was, and the only one I hadn't freed was myself, and that's when my search for identity deepened. I wondered who I'd be without my fame. Who would I be if I said things that people didn't want to hear? Or if I defied their expectations of me? What if I showed up to the party without my Mardi Gras mask and refused to flash my breasts for a handful of beads? I'll give you a moment to wipe that image out of your mind. But you guys are so ahead of the game. You already know who you are. And that peace that we're after, lies somewhere beyond personality, beyond the perception of others, beyond invention and disguise, even beyond effort itself. You can join the game, fight the wars, play with form all you want, but to find real peace, you have to let the armor go. Your need for acceptance can make you invisible in this world. Don't let anything stand in the way of the light that shines through this form. Risk being seen in all of your glory. It's not big enough. This painting is big for a reason. It's called high visibility. It's about picking up the light and daring to be seen. Here's the tricky part. Everyone is attracted to the light. The party host up at the top, who thinks unconsciousness is bliss and is always offering to drink from the bottles that empty you. Misery below her. Despises the light, can't stand when you're doing well, wishes you nothing but the worst. The Queen of Diamonds, under him, needs a king to build her house of cards. And the hollow one down bottom there will cling to your leg and say, please don't leave me behind, for I have abandoned myself. Even those who are closest to you and most in love with you, the people you love most in the world, will find clarity confronting at times. This painting took me thousands of hours to complete. And when I was finished, thank you, thousands of hours, yes. I'll never get them back. I'll never get them back. I worked on this for so long. I was weeks and weeks like a madman alone on a scaffolding. And when I was finished, one of my friends said, this would be a cool blacklight painting. So I started over. Welcome to Burning Man. Some pretty crazy characters up there. but better up there than in here. You know? Painting is one of the ways, thank you. Painting is one of the ways I free myself from concern, a way to stop the world through total mental, spiritual, and physical involvement. But even with that comes a feeling of divine dissatisfaction. Because ultimately, we're not the avatars we create. We're not the pictures on the film stock. We are the light that shines through. All else is just smoke and mirrors, distracting, but not truly compelling. I've often said that I wished people could realize all their dreams and wealth and fame, and so that they could see that it's not where you're going to find your sense of completion. Like many of you, I was concerned about going out into the world and doing something bigger than myself, until someone smarter than myself made me realize that there is nothing bigger than myself. My soul is not contained within the limits of my body. My body is contained within the limitlessness of my soul. One unified field. One unified field of nothing, dancing for no particular reason, except maybe to comfort and entertain itself. As that shift happens in you, you won't be feeling the world, you'll be felt by it. You'll be embraced by it. Now I'm always at the beginning. I have a reset button, and I ride that button constantly. Once that button is functioning in your life, there's no story that the mind could create that will be as compelling. The imagination is always manufacturing scenarios, both good and bad, and the ego tries to keep you trapped in the multiplex of the mind. Our eyes are not viewers, they're also projectors that are running a second story over the picture that we see in front of us all the time. Fear is writing that script, and the working title is, I'll Never Be Enough. Now you're going to look at a person like me and say, how could we ever hope to reach those kind of heights, Jim? How can we make a painting that's too big for our home? How do you fly so high without a special breathing apparatus? This is the voice of the ego. And if you listen to it, there will always be someone who's doing better than you. No matter what you gain, ego will not let you rest. It will tell you that you cannot stop until you've left an indelible mark on the earth, until you've achieved immortality. How tricky is this ego that it would tempt us with the promise of something we already possess? So, I just want you to relax. You know, that's my job. Relax and dream up a good life. I had a substitute teacher from Ireland in the 2nd grade that told my class during morning prayer that when she wants something, anything at all, she prays for it and promises something in return, and she always gets what she wants. Well, I'm sitting at the back of the classroom, you know, thinking, wow, my family can't afford a bike, you know. So I went home and I prayed for one. And I promised I would recite the rosary every night in exchange. Broke that promise. But 2 weeks later, I got home from school to find a brand new Mustang bike with a banana seat and Easy Rider handlebars. Yeah. From fool to cool. My family informed me that I had won the bike in a raffle that a friend of mine had entered my name in without my knowledge whatsoever. So that type of thing has been happening to me ever since. And as far as I can tell, it's just about letting the universe know what you want and working toward it while letting go of how it comes to pass. Your job is not to figure out how it's going to happen for you, but to open the door in your head. And when the door opens in real life, just walk through it. And don't worry if you miss your cue, because there's always doors opening. They keep opening. And when I say life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you, I really don't know if that's true. I'm just making a conscious choice to perceive challenges as something beneficial so that I can deal with them in the most productive way. You'll come up with your own style. That's part of the fun. Oh, and why not take a chance on faith as well? Take a chance on faith. Not religion, but faith. Not hope, but faith. I don't believe in hope. Hope is a beggar. Hope walks through the fire, and faith leaps over it. You are ready and able to do beautiful things in this world. And after you walk through those doors today, you will only ever have two choices: love or fear. Choose love, and don't ever let fear turn you against your playful heart. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dad. I'm so honored. Thank you.
And that was Jim Carrey's commencement address at the Maharishi International University in 2014. I think what I love most about that is the consistency with Jim's personal philosophy. Life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. How do I know that? I don't. But I'm making sound, and that's what matters. That's what I'm here to do. There is a frivolity connected with a deep, concrete personal philosophy in that statement. The philosophy that says that you can manifest the future out of your intention, while at the same time acknowledging that things happening around us are just things happening around us. Clusters of tetrahedrons bouncing off each other, manifesting to us in a particular way, based upon our limited perceptual abilities and our expectations. Now, I know that I made an idle promise early on, or at least I alluded to one, when I talked about a show roughly an hour in length. But it's my show. And really, it's not like I'm butting up against another time slot. So I'm going to carry on for just a little longer. You see what I did there? I said carry on. Thank you. In any event, just a little while longer, because I'm going to be gone for a little while. I'm going to miss you. And I flatter myself that you might miss me, so I'm going to leave a little something more of myself behind. Well, not really of myself, but something deeply connected to the subject matter of tonight's show. A piece of music that many probably won't relate to in any way, but that I feel captures really the entire ethos of a Jim Carrey or anyone else. It's a piece of progressive rock music from the early 1970s when I was born that I think captures the sense of mystery, the sense of awe, even the sense of humor that informs the life and the worldview of a Jim Carrey and those of us who admire him. This is a piece of progressive rock from the late 1970s that to me sets a high watermark of that entire genre of music. blending, as it does, modern modes of musical expression with the classical in ways that we really seldom encounter today. It's from an album called Going for the One. It's by a group called Yes that has had many incarnations from its beginnings in, I believe, 1968 all the way up until the present day, where only one member of the original, well, at least recognized lineup, Steve Howe, remains. All the others have passed on or moved on to other projects. So this is a piece called Awaken, which to me, again, sets a bar rather high for the making of music generally. It is to me a gold standard of what is possible in modern progressive, or dare we say regressive, music making. And I want to share it with you. If you don't know it, it is to me one of the two greatest pieces of modern music ever made, the other being Echoes by Pink Floyd from the Metal album in 1971. So I'm going to give to you Awaken from Going for the One, released in 1977, featuring John Anderson on vocals, Steve Howe on guitars, the great and late, sadly, Chris Squire on bass, Rick Wakeman on keyboards, and of course, Alan White on drums and percussion. I thank you for listening. This is your host, Brad Wallace, for the No Commercial Potential Show. You've been listening to Jim Carrey in his own words, and we're leaving on perhaps a predictably, if maybe unpredictably, lateral note with a piece of progressive rock from a band having nothing to do with Jim's career, but everything to do with thinking outside the box, with accepting the great mystery of life, with embracing it, with all of its grandeur and majesty. And with that, I thank you.
seeing is reaching so clearly.
And that was Awaken by Yes, penned principally by John Anderson and Steve Howe in 1977. A piece of transcendent music, bordering on what I would call holy or set apart, something worthy of a cathedral, indeed recorded in one at Lucerne in Switzerland. But it captures the connection with the mysterious, the transcendent, the otherworldly, that I think the subject of tonight's show has come in contact with. Not just as a comedian, not just as a thespian, not just as a visual artist, as we've come to know him, but as a human being living on this plane of existence. This has been Jim Carrey in his own words on the No Commercial Potential Show, only on Cosmos Astrum Radio. I'm your host, Brad Wallace, once again saying thanks for listening, and be careful out there. You won't hear from me for a little while. I'll miss you. But we'll get together again. Thanks for listening.
It's a friendly world. Don't you think so, Michael?
Yep. Oh, yeah? What's so friendly about it? This is Tony Clifton. I demand a part in this song. I'm just being a part of the movie as these guys are. And I will not sit back while some sawed-off Colonel Kurtz wannabe has his day in the sun. I think he's enough for him. I think Michael here should sit this one out. At least the next verse or so.
Is that okay, Michael?
Okay.
I don't think you have a choice.
Okay. The world is such a wonderful place. To wander at all. When you've got someone you love to wander along with you. Okay, you go.
The sky so full of stars,
and the river so full of song.
Welcome back, Andy. Every heart should be so thankful.
Thank you all for this friendly world.
Thanks for nothing. Okay, where's the girls? Are they on the chopper?